Sustainable energy has been around for a very long time, way longer than you'd think. See, some civilizations like the Romans and Greek used wind-powered water pumps to irrigate their crops. Others, like the Chinese and Persian civilizations, used water wheels to grind grains. These are just a few examples of the sustainable and renewable energy sources that have been around for a long time. The use of fossil fuel has been steadily increasing over the years, and we're running out of it. I mean, just look at this graph. Not only are we running out, we're also ruining the world we live in. The difference maker in this scenario is the ways that we can stop this. There's plenty of ways to create sustainable and renewable energy, whether it be through traditional methods such as the solar and wind power that we've already established, or newer methods like marine energy that are up and coming. Now let's dive into the traditional methods that have already been established and are being used today. There are 4 ways of energy that I'm going to cover that are already being used. First of these is solar power, which takes light from the sun and transfers it directly into energy. Only downside of this is it's not usable during the night, but that's where another source of energy comes into play, which is grid energy. Grid energy storage is one of the most efficient ways to store energy, and this makes it so that you can use energy that's already been created later on, say in the night when you have solar panels. Another conventional method is wind power. Wind turbines can be very effective if they're put in the right place. Open fields are ideal since there's usually a good amount of wind coming through. That's why in the Midwest you'll see a lot of windmills if you drive through there. Last method is nuclear energy. This one has been tested a lot, and there has been a lot of failures. I know many people have heard of these. It's very efficient. There's very few emissions, and it does create waste that can take thousands of years to dissipate, but this is one of the most efficient pieces of energy that we have created. Now, it is important to understand how some of these work. One I want to focus on for this part is wind energy, because it uses a lot of engineering. Since there's so many big parts, windmills use magnetic levitation bearings. No. There are so many big parts for a windmill. They use magnetic levitation bearings on an upward pivot to avoid rubbing, which sounds like a lot. This means just that the bearings, which are on almost anything that spins, are magnetic so that they reduce friction and are almost frictionless. Other than established energy sources, there are new ones that are coming up as well. These include marine energy, concentrated solar photovoltaics, which abbreviates to CSP, enhanced geothermal energy or EGE, cellulosic ethanol, and artificial photosynthesis. The first of these is marine energy. This, at its simplest form, is just energy from the ocean. Obviously, it's a little more complicated than that, but it's not very relevant to what we're trying to cover, so I'm going to leave that for some other day. Since the ocean covers 3/4 of the Earth, this has potential to be one of the best sources of power. It can be very diverse. The next source is CSP, or concentrated solar photovoltaics. This energy is created by using mirrors to redirect sunlight into a receiver that transforms it into energy. It's just like solar energy, but it's in a tiny spot and it's really concentrated area. Next source is geothermal energy. This source is made from radioactive decay from the Earth's crust. The temperature difference between the core and the Earth's surface creates an endless stream of thermal energy. The last one is cellulosic ethanol, which works similarly to that of grain and starch ethanol, which we use in our everyday lives. Instead of those, it would just use raw materials like grass, wood, or other parts of plants, and if done correctly, this could cut greenhouse emissions by 90%. The main reason for all these sources being created is because of needs like global warming. More than half of the greenhouse gases emitted are from energy production. Emissions like coal and oil directly cause global warming, which will in turn increase the temperature of the Earth like it has every year. Computer models even suggest that the Earth will get about 4 degrees Celsius hotter over the next 50 to 70 years. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it will add up. Even though healthier energy sources seem obvious, there's a reason people don't use them. They can be very expensive. Fossil fuels are much cheaper compared to renewable energy, and this turns away many company owners since they want to turn a profit. If we want this to be fixed, everyone's going to have to work together. It's going to take a lot of repetition and hard work to get everyone on the same page, but it is possible. Once we flatten the curve of fossil fuel use, we'll be able to live in a more sustainable and healthy environment. Obviously, this can't go without crediting any sources that were used, so here's all those.